Welcome back to Brawlmaster Unscripted. This is a segment where I answer an assortment of questions, be they thoughtful or stupid. Let's jump right into two questions from Edward J. Williams. Number 1. Do you remember the Cartoon Network City era around 2004 to '07? If so, what were your thoughts on the bumpers? You can search up the bumpers on YouTube. No need to search them up because I do in fact remember them pretty well, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the creativity. I always liked these little crossover ideas like this. I thought it was very clever. And I think it's sad that this was only an era and that Cartoon Network doesn't do creative stuff like this anymore. I think the new shows like Steven Universe and Regular Show and Adventure Time and all that would have really benefited from being included in this all-inclusive universe and just interacting with all of the shows that are, I guess, we considered them modern at the time, but now I guess they've gotten old enough to the point where we can consider more of them to be classics. So I would have liked to really see all of these kind of generations of cartoons continue to interact with each other. And again, I think it's sad that Cartoon Network doesn't really do stuff like that anymore. I think just their presentation now is just overly simplified with basic shapes and colors and sounds, and they use recycled clips from all their shows, and it's just not the same. It just doesn't have that creative spark, so it's kind of sad. Number 2. Would you want to live in a world where people and video game characters coexist with one another, like Roger Rabbit just living casual everyday life? Sure. I don't know who wouldn't, but I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of characters. I mean, if you want to have the cartoony, Nintendo, kid-friendly ones, stuff like that, the platformer mascots, I think they'd be great to kind of make our dull and mundane lives infinitely more exciting. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you're including all of the video game characters, including the first-person shooters and Grand Theft Auto and God of War and all the mature title characters, if they were included in our universe, I think our lives would be infinitely more dangerous. So that might not necessarily be such a good thing. I guess just to answer this question depends on how specific you want to get. Okay, next question comes from Corey Pinches. What are some of the stuff you would do to make a perfect Smash Brothers game, if any? I'm just gonna leave this right here. Next we have 4 questions from, I don't even begin to know how to pronounce that. Is it Seon, C-E-A-O-N? I'm gonna go with that. Number 1. I've got a fish. Would you like to make a wish? No. And it would be absolutely fantastic if you never made that reference again. Thank you. Number 2. Do you love Cool Cat because Cool Cat loves you? I suppose I'm flattered, but I do not know who Cool Cat is, so I can't exactly say that I love him back. And I mean, for all I know, he might be someone whom I don't want to love me, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it at that and just move on to the next question now. Number 3. What would you build around and make said person, place, or thing pay for it? What? I don't really understand this question. I want to answer it, but I don't understand what it's really asking. I guess I would just need a little more information here. If you're asking if I want to build something, I guess. I don't know what I'd build. But I mean, if I could get someone else to pay for it, how could I say no? Number 4. What is the best TV show ever aired, and why is it Breaking Bad? Well, obviously it's Breaking Bad, and that's because it's Breaking Bad. And if anyone says otherwise, then obviously they're wrong. Next we have 5 questions from Joseph Solano. Number 1. Which Super Smash Bros. Character did you not expect to play as so much? Now that I think about it, I've been playing a lot more Villager recently than I ever expected to. I played as him a little bit in the 3DS version demo when it first came out, but I just couldn't really get into him. I just didn't really understand his moveset. I thought it was really weird, but I've slowly been enjoying him more and more. I think the fact that I've been getting back into playing New Leaf again after I talked about it in my games list probably has something to do with kind of motivating me to explore him some more and really learn how he works. But there's just something immensely satisfying about dropping that bowling ball on people, especially if it's off the ledge as they're trying to recover. I love doing that, and I enjoy channeling my inner Killager. Number 2. Do you like The Simpsons? I've never been that big of a fan, but I've got no beef with the show. I just never really got into it, and I feel like the show would just be impossible for me to binge watch and attempt to catch up on now, considering how many seasons it has, but I will easily choose watching an episode of Simpsons over something like Family Guy any day. I hate what that show has become now. Number 3. Top 10 favorite anime list sometime this year? Like last time, no rush. Yes, it's still coming. The reason it hasn't been done yet is because this past year I've just been trying to watch as much anime as I can, expand my horizons, and I've picked up quite a few contenders for the list so far, but I'm still exploring and experimenting with other anime. I don't have a time frame for when this list will be done. Hopefully it'll be done before the end of the year, but I can't really promise that. It's probably going to be something that's still going to take me a lot of time, but it is definitely something I plan to get around to at some point, especially since there does still seem to be interest in it. So rest assured, it is coming. I do know of the idea. I'm working on it. It's just going to take me a little while because I'm just trying to really watch as much anime as I can and really get a variety of shows on there for the list. I don't know if I'll be able to accomplish that because I've been finding myself watching a lot of the same kinds of anime, but I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Number 4. Favorite flavor of pie? Never asked a stupid question. Well, first time for everything, huh? But I don't think it's a stupid question, so you're good. I'd say my favorite flavor of pie would probably be apple. I hated the taste as a kid, but it's been growing on me more and more as I get older. My favorite used to be pumpkin, and I still do enjoy pumpkin pie, but whenever one of my younger cousins reminds me that it looks like baby vomit, well, that makes it harder for me to stomach. Apple pie doesn't have that same effect, though. And number 5. Favorite character from the Avatar franchise? I love the majority of the characters. There's no one I really absolutely hate, but if I had to narrow it down to a select few because I honestly can't choose just one character out of the entire franchise that I like, I would say the contenders would be Zuko, Sokka, Iroh, Asami, or Zahir. I know it's jumping around a lot, especially between original series and Korra, but I do like both of them, and I like all of these characters for separate reasons. I think each of these characters contribute to making the franchise great in their own unique ways. Zuko, just for his character arc overall being as strong and well developed as it is. Sokka for being genuinely funny as a comic relief character who still has his moments when he can be serious. Iroh is very insightful, powerful, humble, loving, and a bit of a troll in the earlier episodes, which I love more and more when I go back to watch the first season. Asami is very attractive, but I also really enjoyed her development as a character outside of the love triangle bullshit with Mako. That stuff was whatever, but I thought like her relationship with her dad and her obligation to running the company, I thought that stuff was really interesting, and I thought she was a really strong character. And then Zahir, I think, is just one of the best villains in the entire series. I just loved his motive and his reasoning for doing the things he did. I love how dangerous and powerful he was and just how close he came to actually ending the Avatar cycle. And there were times where I almost wanted to see him win just because of how competent and capable he was of achieving his desires. I mean, Zahir was just a brilliant character. But again, I love pretty much almost all of the Avatar series characters from both the original series and Legend of Korra. There's no one I absolutely flat out hate, but these are just the ones that I kind of like more than others, I guess. Okay, next we have 5 questions from Angie Nitwit. Number 1. Bored as hell. Should I start reviewing MLP FIM just so I can start YouTube somewhere? I guess. I mean, do whatever you want. It might be a little bit late to be doing this now, considering how many people review MLP already, but especially if you're bored, if that's the only reason you're doing it, you might want to try to find something else that, strikes your fancy a little bit more. But I mean, if you really do have something new or interesting to bring to the table and contribute, then I say go right ahead. Number 2. If you ever want to have a game that's both good and better than what's out there today, play Undertale. No. Number 3. Don't know what are your thoughts on Toonami as of 2016, but did you see Intruder 2, and how do you think it handles itself better compared to Intruder 1? I don't really watch Toonami anymore, kind of like I don't watch TV in general that much anymore. I hear Toonami is very good now, but I just don't really watch it that much just because I really don't have time to. I'm either at work or if I am home during the early morning hours when it comes on, I'm usually asleep. So I end up missing whatever is on Toonami. I don't really keep up with it that much. Hell, I don't even really watch Steven Universe on TV that much anymore just because it doesn't really fit with my work schedule. They keep airing new episodes right when I'm leaving for work, so I always just have to catch them online later. I have heard that Toonami is airing the dub of Hunter x Hunter, and I've been interested in checking that one out, but again, I haven't had time to. I don't know if they're still doing that. It was a while since the announcement, so I don't know if they are actually, finishing and dubbing the entire thing so far. I'd have to look that up, I guess, but if it is, I'd be interested in checking it out if I could somehow. And then I've never seen Intruder 1 or 2, so I can't really comment on that. Number 4. Shit, I was gonna ask if you ever had a Pokemon OC before. My OC character is named Parachan, and someone is gonna write an origin story about her on how she was born and junk. Good for you. I don't have an OC. There was a time when I did, but that's a time I try to forget. But good for you if you're into that, I guess. Yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the next question now. And number 5. I know that half this shit is not related to you or your questions in life, but I'm thinking of going to an animation school soon. But due to my art and human anatomy skills sucking donkey butts right now, is there any advice for this old fool like me? Pfft, you're asking me for advice on animation? I've never animated anything in my life. But I assure you that however much you think your skills suck, mine are probably so much worse. But I guess if you're looking for advice on just going to school, I would probably just offer you the generic stuff like do your best and study hard and show up for class, ask questions, get ahead, all that jazz. I mean, I know it's really generic, I know it's what everybody says, but it really does work, or at least it works for me. So that's pretty much all I can offer you, is just the basic stuff for how to do well in school, or at least just from my experience anyway. Next we have a question from Gaming Wizard. When you play an RPG, do you like to grind and overlevel your character, or do you focus more on making it through the story of the game? I always try to just make it through the story of the game, especially if it's the first time I'm playing it and I just want to see the full story and just know what it's all about. But if I do reach a point where I get to a character or a boss that I just can't beat on my own, then yeah, I'll definitely go level grind somewhere, even if it takes a while. It's really tedious, but I'm not gonna lie, I love that feeling of being absolutely broken from being overleveled and just steamrolling the rest of the game after that. There's just something immensely satisfying about it. I mean, it takes a while to get there, but once you do, it just feels amazing. Alright, next question comes from Persian Slasher. Are you familiar with the concept of an anime abridged series? If you are, then what's your favorite? I am familiar with the concept, but I've never really sat down to watch much of them. The only one I've ever really seen is a few episodes of Pokemon Abridged, but that was so long ago that I probably don't even remember much of what I watched back then. Okay, next we have 4 questions from the Cartoon Kid 2009. Number 1. What book series do you like? I remember really enjoying the A Series of Unfortunate Events books back when I was in middle school. I don't know if I'd like them as much now when I'm much older. But right now, I do enjoy the Hunger Games series, even though I have yet to read Mockingjay. I keep meaning to get around to it, but I just never seem to do that. I don't know, I think I just need to just take a break and just read more in general. So maybe that's a good place to start. Number 2. Your favorite modern cartoon aside from Steven Universe and Legend of Korra? Ooh, that's a hard one. I guess maybe Regular Show. I do like Regular Show, or Star vs. the Forces of Evil. That's a good one I've been looking into recently. I enjoy these cartoons, and on a more personal note, Linkenar, I know you're watching this. Yes, I do like Star, even though I don't talk about it every waking moment like you. I actually do enjoy it, so quit giving me shit about it. I'm sorry, he and I are having this little rivalry going on, and for the sake of time, I don't really want to get into it. Number 3. Have you ever played any Angry Birds games? Nope. Number 4. Thoughts on Pixar's Inside Out? I haven't seen it. I hear it's amazing, but I can't exactly say I agree or disagree with that if I haven't seen it. It's on my list. Hopefully I'll get around to seeing it, especially if it's as good as everyone says it is. But as of right now, I have no idea. Next we have 2 questions from Gamer Dude Guy. Number 1. What do you think of the Earthbound series? I tried Earthbound, but I didn't really like it that much. I don't know what it is. I couldn't really get into the combat system. It just really was not striking any chords with me. I've never played Mother 3, so I don't know if I would like that one any better, but since there are so few games in this series, I guess by default I'd have to say I don't like it based on the only game I played and didn't really like that much. So once again, I hate to break your hearts, Earthbound fans, who, if I have any who are watching this video, but I just don't really like Earthbound that much. I'm sorry. Number 2. Are you excited for Pokemon Sun and Moon? Which games are you getting, and who's your starter of choice? When I really think about it, my opinions on Pokemon Sun and Moon are kind of complicated because I really was at first. I was really excited for the games. I thought they looked great. I was excited for the potential they would have for a whole new generation. But as the months have gone by and we've been getting more and more information, I have to honestly say that I'm not really all that interested anymore in them. It's just that none of the new designs of the new Pokemon are really doing it for me. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's just personal taste. I'm not saying, oh, these aren't as good because they're not as good as like Gen 1. Don't you dare try to peg me as one of those people, because I am not one of those people. It's just there's something about them that, I don't know, nothing about them is really wowing me for some reason. I just don't know what it is. The only new design that I've really liked so far is Alolan Marowak, and I don't even know if that really counts because that's a Gen 1 Pokemon technically, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think his design was really awesome. So that's about it. Aside from him, nothing else that has been shown so far has really piqued my interest that much, and I'm kind of worried at this point that maybe I might not enjoy the game as much, so maybe I shouldn't get it, at least not right away. I don't know. There's still a couple months before the games come out, so anything can change. Maybe they'll reveal something that absolutely blows my mind and secures my pre-order. I don't really know, but as of this moment, I'm feeling really mixed about the game. I don't know if I personally am going to enjoy them as much as I thought I would, but again, it might be too early to say something like that. But if I do end up getting the game, I probably will get Sun version, and I probably will pick Poplio, just because fuck you, I like Poplio. Fuck you and your opinion! Next question comes from Kirby Master Ultra. You seem to have grown rather fond of Bowser and Bowser Jr. over the years, and I was wondering, when did this all start? Not saying it's weird, I'm just a little curious, especially since you never really seemed to care for these characters all that much before. I've always been a fan of Bowser and Bowser Jr., probably for as long as I've ever been a fan of Mario, and that's as far back as I can remember. Well, maybe not for Bowser Jr. since he didn't come along until, like, what, 2001? But you get what I mean. But yeah, I've always really liked these characters, and I guess the reason I really haven't been showing my enjoyment of them until recently is just because as I've gotten older, I've just become more willing to just express my interests and favoritism freely. You know, I enjoy obsessing and talking about characters I love now more than I ever did when I was younger, simply because I just don't care what other people think or if they would have a problem with that. I mean, I love Bowser because of his personality. I mean, he's the antagonist, he's supposed to be serious and evil, and sometimes he is and he does it well. But other times, and mainly in the RPGs, he's just the butt of everyone's jokes, and I find that so funny. He's so goofy and childish, and he's not all that bright, and I love all of that. I love seeing all of these different aspects to Bowser's character, and I think in some ways he's more of an interesting character than Mario. And I love Bowser Jr. just because I really love the whole father-son dynamic he has going on with Bowser. I think it's just so cute and adorable, and I love how he's only doing bad things to make his father proud, and I love how no matter what terrible, greedy, or awful thing Bowser does in the games, he still acts like a father when he needs to. He loves Junior, I love that. I think it's adorable. They have this bond, and I just wish that was shown off more canonically in the games, and that dynamic is why I love that Not a Monster story so much, because it just shows how strong a family bond can be no matter how the characters act around anybody else. It's always different when it comes to family, and it's sweet, it's touching. I love stuff like that, and I love these characters. I think they're just wonderful together as a father and a son, and I just wish Nintendo would do even more with that. I feel like if they explored Mario's story some more, they could do some really interesting things with Bowser and Bowser Jr. And it doesn't have to be like mushy, touchy father-son stuff, because truth be told, that wouldn't be true to who these characters honestly are and how they act in the games. So I wouldn't mind if like in the Paper Mario games, oh god, we're going there. No, if like in the Paper Mario games, instead of having Cammy Koopa, because God knows if we'll ever see her again, if they had Bowser Jr. take her place, where he kind of fills that role as the foil to Bowser, where he's loyal to Bowser and he's trying to do what he can to help his father achieve his goals, but he's still kind of like getting the good luck while Bowser gets the short end of the stick, and he's kind of making snarky remarks and comments like that. I just think that would be wonderful. I think that they could do really good things with these characters if they tried. But you know what? I'm going to stop right there because I think I just got an idea for a future video. So keep an eye out for that. Alright, and finally we have 5 questions from Amazing Jeffrey. Number 1. What were your thoughts on E3 this year? Honestly, I feel like E3 was kind of meh. Not like meh in a bad way, kind of like last year, just meh in a way it wasn't really that interesting. It wasn't terrible, but it's like I wasn't really expecting much, so I can't say I was disappointed by it. And I kind of went into E3 with that mindset just because I knew Nintendo wasn't going to show the NX, so there really wasn't much I was looking forward to seeing. And I was just kind of trying to keep my expectations low, and I didn't do an E3 video this year just because I was afraid I'd have to do a repeat of last year, and we all know what a train wreck last year was for Nintendo, so I really didn't want to have to do that again. And so I was kind of hoping Nintendo wasn't going to have anything big, and honestly, they really didn't. I mean, yeah, Zelda Breath of the Wild looks really good, it looks amazing, and honestly, I'm kind of thinking about getting it. I don't know if I'd get it for Wii U or whatever the hell NX is. I don't know, but I will not deny that the game looks really good. It looks really promising and really ambitious. That was great, and it's great that it got so much attention and praise for that, but honestly, outside of that, I can't even really remember what else Nintendo showed. I mean, they really didn't have much else. I mean, there was that other game that I don't really want to talk about because we all know how I feel about that game, and that's opening a can of worms, and I'd rather not do that right now. But yeah, aside from that, there really wasn't much there that they showed. So I honestly felt pretty indifferent towards E3. And I mean, I can't really comment on Sony's conference. I hear they had an amazing one, but I still don't have a PS4, so I can't say that I'm like hyped to the moon and back for any of the stuff they have because it's coming out on a console I still don't own yet. So I'm not trying to say E3 was bad because it really wasn't. It's just I honestly didn't really think much of anything of it. So I mean, the fact that I didn't make a video on it should kind of speak volumes to how I felt. I just didn't really feel like there was much for me to talk about. Again, Breath of the Wild looks good, but that's about it. Number 2. Have you ever been to Disneyland? If so, what's your favorite ride? Oh yeah, of course, I've been to Disneyland. It's been a long-ass time since I went there, though, and I would love to go there again sometime soon. But I'd say probably one of my favorite rides there is Space Mountain. I love Space Mountain so much. Number 3. Do you think Smash 4 will be the last Smash game Sakurai makes? Honestly, I think it could really go either way. It's still a bit early to say, but I think that just based off of what we know of Sakurai, I think it really could go either way. I mean, I would not blame the man if he didn't want to come back next time around. Just thinking about how much work these games are to put together, especially if the next game builds off of Smash 4 and how monumental that game was, it's got to be an absolute nightmare, and I would not blame Sakurai if he didn't want to come back, especially with the health issues he's already been having while he was working on Smash 4. I would not blame the guy if he didn't want to come back. But at the same time, I would not be surprised either if he did come back, since this really is his series. He's proud of it. He puts a lot of time and effort and passion into making it what he wants to make it like, and I'd understand his hesitation to let it go and to hand it off to someone else. I could understand why he wouldn't want to do that, why he'd want to just toughen up and just stick with it for yet another round. I'd understand that too. So I'm both excited and worried at the very idea of someone else directing Smash, simply because we've never had anyone other than Sakurai directing these games. I think that has potential to either be great or terrible depending on who it is. I mean, we could get someone who has ideas that make Smash even better than what Sakurai gave us, or we could get someone who does basically the same quality, who gives us basically the kind of the standard that we expect from Smash games. And then, of course, we could get someone terrible who completely ruins the series, and hopefully we won't get someone like that. But, it is a possibility. So I think it just depends on who it is, and that's even assuming that Sakurai doesn't come back, because I think it's too early to say for sure, and I think knowing Sakurai, it really could go either way. So we'll just have to wait and see. Number 4. Who would you rather date? Zelda, Peach, or Samus? Obviously Peach. And number 5. Have you ever thought about doing viewer battles on Super Smash Bros? I would love to go against you someday. Can't say that I have. I've never really considered doing something like this. Is this something you guys would want to see? I mean, if you want that, let me know. I don't see why I couldn't do something like this other than just the hassle of trying to find the time to meet up and play. And my capture card isn't absolutely reliable. It really only works in like short bursts. Once you like start recording for long durations, it just kind of falls apart. As you could see in that 15-minute challenge I did with CJ a while back, that one was pretty bad. So I don't know. But I think the bigger problem is just trying to find time to sit down and actually do this with people, and in a way that meets up with both of our schedules, because I'm just so damn busy these days. I mean, you guys should be able to tell based on the fact that I only upload every once in a while. It's not like I upload constantly or consistently. But I don't know. We'll see. You guys know me. Very rarely do I like to outright deny video suggestions, so I don't want to promise anything, but for right now, I would like to just gauge if there is even that much demand for something like this in the first place. So let me know. Is this something you would want to see? Do you want me to try to start doing kind of viewer battles, I guess, or just battles with my viewers? That could be fun. I think it has potential, has some hurdles to overcome, but we'll see. We would never know unless I tried. So I guess we'll see how that turns out. And that's about all the time I have for right now, but fear not, because as always, there will be more questions answered in the future. So I'll catch you guys next time. This has been Brawlmaster 012 signing off.